Hello, everyone. My name is Gary Gomes. I'm here with uh, a good friend, Krishna Darshan, who you've known for what, maybe 30 years, Krishna, I think, or close to that. No?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Okay. And Krishna has uh, written a book just a little while ago on Vedic healing, and it's a really impressive book. And I'd like you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came to write this book.
Oh, okay. So, hello to everybody. It's my pleasure to be here. And I want to thank you, Gary, for this invitation and opportunity to share. I've been a yoga teacher for over 40 years, uh, studying different Vedic kind of sciences. And at a certain point, I started to study Jyotish also. I had the blessing of having Gary of teaching me when I was starting, which was great. Yeah, so much knowledge. And I've studied also Ayurveda the following years. So those three kind of sciences became my main interest. There was a time also that I went through some health crisis, and I was looking for deeper ways of healing. And so I did a little deeper research on Vedic scriptures and what they talk about health and the cause of disease, the deepest cause, and different methods of healing. Well, over the years, I've been participating as a teacher in a Ayurveda training course with the Dr. Ruge, a very famous Ayurvedic teacher from Brazil. And then one of my classes, I decided to write something just for the students, just like a handout, something like that. But then I started to write and write and write, and then I said, this is getting very long. And I started to add things and connect one thing with another. Then I realized this is coming into a book. So finally I said, okay, let's develop it. And then that's how I came and wrote the book. That was the original intention. But then, I focused more on it. And here it is. Let me see if I can show you if you can see the picture here. It's called, maybe the light is not so good. It's called Vedic Healing, Integrating Ayurveda, Yoga, and Jyotish. So it's about different teachings about health and healing coming from Vedic sources. So that's how it came about, Gary.
It's excellent. And I just want to commend you in that you tie really I think you tie the entire tradition together extremely well. So you go all the way back to the Vedas and you track everything down. Why did that approach occur to you? Because most books on astrology are rather what I would like to call instruction manuals or 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 interpretational guides, and
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that. But you seem to delve heavily into the spiritual foundations of
yeah. Yes, I like to go to the sources because, we have this new age. Many people say different things according to their own opinions and experiences, which is valuable. It's many people are have a lot to share, but I always felt attracted to go to the sources because those ancient rishis, Gary, these ancient yogis from the Vedic times, they really knew something. You can, when you study those sciences, It's amazing how, thousands of years ago, they knew so much about human life, about the body, about the mind, about karma, and all this that affecting our life. And I think it came because they dedicated their life to deep meditation. So in those deep samadhi states, meditative states, they got the insights, they got the highly intuitive capacity to have a deeper understanding of the human nature and the condition that we are all, that we are all searching for well-being, we're all searching for happiness. At the same time, we are all experiencing some sort of pain. Um, and so there is great knowledge from the Vedic text about this topic. So you see these three Vedic sciences. You see, first we have Ayurveda, the science of health, like the ancient medicine. Uh, and it deals especially with our body. Once you have imbalances in the body, imbalances of the three doshas, vata, pitta, kapha, that cause all kind of disorders in our body functions, and then the diseases come. And through Ayurveda, we can learn how to bring those back to balance. And they have a wealth of teachings from diet, understanding what is a diet for each individual, understanding they have herbs, they have very advanced herbology, very ancient, very proven over the millennia that they work. They have all kind of body therapies, different types of massages and rubbings of the body with different herbs and oils and substances that are very nourishing and help to remove toxins from the body. And they it's not they don't talk just from a medical point of view from the body, but they understand also that the mind plays a very important role in our health. And that's why Ayurveda itself recommends the practice of yoga. Then we come to the second of these topics of the book, which is yoga. Yoga deals mostly with understanding the mind. Yeah, we have physical practices also, but really yoga is about learning how to purify our mind, how to remove anything that is, making the mind not functioning in a completely positive level. So each of us, we have different kind of impurities or, samskaras, impressions, habits that are deep in our personality and that we repeat like in an automatic mode most of the time. So yoga teaches us how to really get into meditation, how to clean the mind, develop the state of high sattva. I'm sure many of your followers know about the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. The mind consists of these three gunas. And this tamas is the most dark force of the mind, the more animal, the more uh, lower kind of thoughts. And the rajas energy keeps the mind busy all the time with full of desires and activities and cannot stop easily. But it is the sattva in the mind, which sattva means purity and light. So when the mind becomes uh, calm and free from negativity, the mind becomes like a microscope, like a crystal. Like if we want to look at the planet, let's say, if you want to look at planet Jupiter and the moons, and you take a telescope, you can really see them. It's amazing. Or you can look at the cells through a microscope. So like that, when the mind gets into that predominance of sattva guna, the mind becomes very sharp in understanding, very intuitive, and at the same time very calm, very peaceful. There is a sensation of well-being. It comes through sattva. So all kind of different practices are used in yoga to help bring up the level of sattva and reduce the level of tamas and rajas. So from the practice of asanas and pranayama and using mantras, uh, meditation techniques, devotional practices. We have the yoga of service. There are many branches of yoga, different teachings. I mean, nowadays yoga is most well known for its physical aspect, the asanas. No? But this is only a very small percent of what yoga teaches. There is a lot of exercises to train gradually our mind to bring it into a pure state and focused state. And even modern science is now understanding more and more that all diseases have some kind of psychological cause behind. Now, we all come from past lives. We come with a baggage. We come with many past experiences. Some of them left different kind of traumas in our subconscious level. And from those traumas and this uh, kind of adverse patterns of thinking, then the body starts to answer to that, and then we get the imbalances on the doshas and everything that Ayurveda teaches. But there's always a mental cause behind everything. And therefore, yoga becomes a very, very important healing tool. Because, for example, suppose you have a pain in your body, you go to a doctor, give you medicine. Suppose you have a pain, you take an analgesic, the pain goes away. But then it will come back because the cause of it is still present. You didn't remove the cause. So like that, we keep treating the symptoms, which are the physical complaints, but we never go to why they come, why they are there. How did we reach that point? And then yoga, is the tool to dig deeper into our own mind, emotions, and see how they connect with our body. And then, as you know, the importance of Jyotish is also very, very important science because there is also a karmic element in all our sufferings, including diseases, but I'm not talking only about diseases. Any kind of unhappiness that we experience in life, we can call it a disease. Actually, according to Ayurveda, even according to the World Health Organization nowadays, health is defined not as the absence of disease, but as the presence of a positive state of mind, when a person feels good and has a purpose in his life and has a good relationship with fellow beings and with the nature. This is really to be healthy, not just because I don't have any bad disease, but you have to have a positive state. So, but what happens is we have many past lives. We have created karma. Life is a school. We commit a lot of mistakes, and we learn from mistakes. We grow from our mistakes. But every mistakes that we make have consequences. If you do something wrong, something that is causing pain to others in some way, this pain is going to come back to us. And then, because of that, we have either negative mental state or we have a weak body with some vulnerable areas. They correspond to results of past karmas, most of them coming from past life that we are not even aware of. And that's where Jyotish really comes to help, because Jyotish is a map of our karma when we are born, the positions of the planets and stars They are telling us which are our strengths and weaknesses, which areas we might have developed well in past lives, and now we have good things in life. Um, but also, we can see the difficulties. And in every chart, you know, there is always some difficulty. Everybody has to go through a process of purifying something. So Jyotish is like a map of our karma, and it helps us to understand what are we needing to change in this life? What do we need to grow from? Perhaps we are, either selfish, or we are violent, or we are, any kind of negative trait of the mind is somehow like a result also of past actions. So it's very interesting how these three sciences they support each other, because also Jyotish can show us where the difficult karmas are, but what are you going to do about them, right? Because
Right.
we have Jyotish remedies like different homas and pujas and mantras, but the main thing is we have to change certain patterns of our mind, certain samskaras. Our difficult planets are showing us some of the negative samskaras that we need to grow in this life. They are not necessarily bad, Sometimes we see, oh, I have this bad planet there. But this bad planet is somehow a teacher, is showing us something that we need to grow from, something we need to develop more in this life. So with studying Jyotish with that perspective becomes a very healing tool, not just a modality of prediction, but just to know what's going to happen to me in 5 years. But also there is a spiritual teaching in Jyotish about understanding the programmings of our mind, what kind of energies and imbalances we have. It's interesting because in Ayurveda, since the ancient time, the Vaidyas, it's called the doctors in Ayurveda were called Vaidyas. They always work with astrologers. Either they were astrologers themselves, they study Jyotish, or they work in a complementary with a Jyotishi. So they will ask, okay, go to the astrologer, read your chart, and then we use this together with the Ayurvedic diagnosis, and now we can find the best kind of remedy. See, finding a remedy not just from a purely physical point of view, chemical, see, but spiritual kind of remedies. And so Ayurveda and Jyotish always used to work together since ancient time. And we can see this in the text in Charak Samhita and in many important Ayurvedic texts. They all give great importance to Jyotish and to the birth chart. Um, and at the same time, yoga, you see, is that self-discipline that we need. Because you see, what happens is sometimes we know what we do wrong, and in spite of that, we keep doing it.
Yep.
Doesn't it happen to you? I think
Yeah,
it
yeah,
happens to
to be honest with you, you sort of read my mind. That's what I was just thinking.
yes. So the knowing alone is not enough, because we say, okay, see, I have to quit smoking because I have a lung problem. The doctor, you go to the doctor, either Western doctor or Ayurvedic doctor, they will tell you, okay, quit smoking. And then you say, yes, you understand intellectually that is bad for you. It's not out of ignorance, but what happened next moment, you go and buy your package of cigarette and you smoke,
Yeah,
because it's like a kind of compulsion. So then yoga is that self-discipline. one of the translations for yoga, there are many definitions of yoga, but one of them is the self-discipline, is to be able to control ourselves, to control our senses, beginning from our body, to be able to relax our tensions, control our prana to be recharged, but mainly to control our relationship with the senses. We get lost through sensory experience. We're very attached to some things and we hate other things. So our mind is swinging between likes and dislikes. And in most people, you see, this functions like in an automatic level. We are not even aware. It just happened in the mind. And then you realize you feel drawn to do certain things again and again, in spite of you knowing that it's not the best for you. And not talking only about health, maybe in your work, maybe in your relationship life, in your family life, or so. There are many things that we might be doing that are creating harm in our life. And in spite of that, we feel driven to do it again. So yoga is the reversal of that. Yoga, you go with small disciplines and then you take the more difficult disciplines. And then there is a moment where the true yogi, the true master of yoga, is one who has control of his own mind and his own senses. And then he can choose what kind of thoughts to have in the mind, and he can choose the kind of actions to do, knowing what the results are going to be. See? So this is yoga. So we can see how one helps the other. Hmm? You you go to an Ayurvedic doctor, he's going to recommend you to control your senses. You have to do a diet or you have to quit some bad habits. And also will be interested in your Vedic chart. But then let's say you go to an astrologer and then you find out you have a weakness in your heart or in your stomach or anything. And then what are you going to do about it? Then Ayurveda helps also, because then if you change, adapt the proper diet, and you take the right herbs, and you do different kind of body treatments, also you're going to be helping on coping with the manifestation of the disease. And yoga, you see, I've seen myself, I've been teaching yoga for 40 years, but I've met thousands of yoga teachers who have not studied Jyotish. Like me, for many years I studied yoga and I was teaching, but I didn't know Jyotish. And I knew very little of Ayurveda. And, students come to consult you. You become kind of a person they like, they want to share their problems, they want to ask you for an advice. And then, when I started, what my advice was, okay, do yoga, meditate, do asana, then you tell everybody the same kind of things. Of course, those things are good for everybody. But
Yes.
everybody has a particular problem. It's not the same that we all have. Each of us have a particular condition, and that we can pinpoint with Jyotish. Uh, that's where Jyotish becomes essential also, even for a yoga teacher, for an advisor, for a counselor. See, I had a friend who was a very renowned psychologist here in Uruguay. He passed away a few years back. But he used to send me all his patients to do a birth chart reading, and I used to send him a written report. I gave it to the client and he would bring it. And then he told me that through Jyotish, through my reading, they could pinpoint the problem that would have taken them perhaps 10, 20 years of psychotherapy to find out. because you can see it right away in the chart. And then, then he really was sending me all his patients, and we had a nice team because it's all for the good of the people. It's
Sure.
to it's to helping us to help them better. And so in this way, all these sciences are complementary. And this is the main thing I explore in this particular book.
I, I I just want to comment. I, 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 I noticed you focused a great deal on purifying and clarifying the mind. Essentially taking away the attachments that we all have, that we all come into this world with. If, if yoga is a large part of cleansing that pattern, but there are hidden patterns that would require maybe deeper work or deeper attention.
Mhm.
Maybe it's a planetarily inhabited pattern, as a result of previous karmas, which you point out towards the end of the book. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Well, as you know, Gary, in Jyotish, there are many different kinds of upayas, or they call it the astrological remedies. Some of them simple things like wearing a particular color, avoiding other colors, or
yeah,
wearing some gem or not another, or doing, particular worship in a classical way to appease planets. See, because in the for the Vedic rishis, the planets, they are beings. They are sentient beings. They are not just a mass of matter that are floating in the sky. They have a personality. They are each of them, you know very well. They like certain things and they don't like some other things. They have a particular uh, individuality, and of course they are in a different level. They are devas. They belong to a very highly spiritual dimension. But we can establish a connection with those grahas and with the devatas, the deities associated with the grahas. And we once we establish this connection, we can try to please them. And then for that, the Vedas, they prescribe the different yagyas and pujas. So each of the grahas likes certain materials, and like typical for Saturn, you offer like mustard seeds or black clothes and things like that. And each of the planet has their own things that help us to get in tune to them. And even prayer, just trying to meditate on this planet, try to tune in to the energy of this planet, what it represents, what is the karaka for, what kind of function he does in our life, and then trying to make peace with this energy.
I'm going to pause this for 1 second, okay?
Sure.
All right. So you're talking about the planetary personalities and what they like and what they don't like.
Yeah. So we can see this in the Vedas and in the classical Jyotish texts like Parashara, Horasastra, and others, that they prescribe how to do a particular worship uh, and then of course Jyotish is used to select the time, like when you want to approach that planet, you want the planet to be in a good position, especially also related to your chart. It's like, if I want to ask you something, Gary, want a favor from you, I'm not going to go when you are in a bad mood and angry, and try to go to you when you are relaxed, when you are happy. It's easier to relate. So we try to wait when the planets are in proper position. we can approach them easier, and pray from our heart, ask them to help us relieve our karma. Uh, you see, the planets, you know this, Gary. I'm just talking to the audience who might not know,
Yes, of
but
course.
uh,
Well, I might not know it all. Don't get the wrong.
well, you know quite a lot. But anyhow, those uh, those planets, they appreciate our effort to approach to them because it's like you see, they are not the ones who punish us. It's not that all the problems of my life are because of Saturn or because of Mars or Rahu or whatever. They have a duty to do. They have to deliver our karmas. It's not see, it's like they are the mailman who comes and delivers the package to your door, right? So they bring the package that we have created. It's not that they created a curse us just because they want it. We have created something, they bring it to us. That's their dharma. That's
Or like Amazon, your book is available on Amazon or UPS or FedEx, right?
my book.
Your book is available on Amazon. I
Yeah.
just want to say that.
Yes,
All right.
yes. It's available on Amazon. Just search Vedic Healing, Krishna Darshan as the author, and it's in Amazon. I have it in both in English and in Spanish because I live in Uruguay, it's a Spanish-speaking countries, and there are a lot of Spanish-speaking people in the U.S. also.
Yep.
So I felt I have to do the book in both languages. So I translated back and forward. So it's available in Spanish in case any of the audience is more familiar with Spanish. It's called Sanación Védica, Integrando Ayurveda, Yoga y Jyotish. It's the same name, but in Spanish.
Okay. All right. Well, I, I, I'm gonna cut it there, not because I don't find this topic fascinating, uh, but because my attention is getting a little bit divided now. Uh,
No, it's
but we will follow up on this at a later date, and maybe you could be a guest again and talk about this some more.
anytime, Gary, anytime. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, you've been my friend for years, and I consider you to be a really close friend, even though we don't see each other that much. Some
Yeah,
some people you just have that connection with, and I've always felt like I've had that with you, and I think you felt likewise. So,
yes.
and we will be working together soon, I'm sure. So,
Anytime, Gary. Just let me know and I'll be very happy.
all right, Krishna, you take care of yourself. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy
You,
schedule.
you too, Gary. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for all the listeners, and hope to see you again.
All right, and may success bless both of us and bless your book. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
All right,
Namaste.
my friend. Namaste.
Namaste.